Africa, while only responsible for a fraction of the global greenhouse gas emissions, suffers disproportionately from climate change. A 2022 State of the Climate in Africa report states that weather and climate-related hazards are becoming more severe. In the very same year, over 110 million people in Africa were affected directly by these hazards, causing over 8.5 billion US dollars in economic damages, not to mention the loss of life and damage in infrastructure. The WISER, Weather and Climate Information Services, user Early Warnings for Southern Africa project commenced in Zambia, South Africa, and Mozambique in mid-2023 and will run until June 2025.
So WISER user aims to deliver reliable and actionable forecasts to vulnerable communities. The real innovation is on the short timescale warnings when we know more about what the weather's going to do, which we call nowcasts, so thinking only hours in advance. Ultimately, the aim is to save lives and livelihoods, so we have to create sustainable services that can be continued after the project ends.
Nowcasting is basically the forecasting of weather at extremely short ranges, so looking at anything from 2 to 6 hours. We base our forecast on observations, so usually that will be in the form of satellite imagery. We can also, if we do have that capability, we use radar as well as surface observations. And so recently now we've also made a lot of progress with the machine learning AI, and that also helps us to increase our capability and skill with predicting the weather for the next 2 to 6 hours using observations. When it comes to severe thunderstorms, these are weather phenomena that changes quite rapidly. So a thunderstorm will change its behavior within the span of 15 to 30 minutes. And so it's very difficult to use traditional weather forecasting models to predict these events. So that's why nowcasting is important. It allows us to detect rapid changes in the behavior of, for instance, severe thunderstorms. And this is obviously important because it poses a big risk to communities. Then it's important to relay that information as quickly as possible to communities for them to be able to respond to that, to inclement weather. The biggest challenge with nowcasting is when it comes to severe thunderstorms is they can increase in intensity within the span of 15, 30 minutes. The data that we receive may be delayed by 15 or 30 minutes. And that's where artificial intelligence models come into play. It helps us to bridge the gap between receiving the information and the time that it takes for the weather phenomena to change its behavior.
One of the project's main tenets is accessibility, including as wide a range of people as possible, especially from the community.
So in WISER User, we've had a particular focus on including persons with disabilities. Particularly that's important because we want to ensure that we co-produce information that's accessible to all people. So if we have marginalised groups involved now, the accessibility of the information will be much wider. We've had a variety of disabilities represented: mobility, visual, hearing. We typically have a sign language interpreter in our workshops so that people with hearing disabilities can participate fully. And for people with sight disabilities, we try and make sure that we verbalise all of the information that we're using on written material and on slides so that we're inclusive.
Key role players in mobilizing the community and increasing the project's reach include community observers and mobilizers. These community members started out as community observers up until they were integrated into the SDMC. The SDMC stands for the Satellite Disaster Management Committee. How do you, as the community members, ensure that everybody is included?
Like in our communities, it's simple. If you interpret them in English, it's too difficult for some. So we use local language, if it's Nyanja or Bemba, so that they can understand.
So we move door to door, informing, teaching them. And if they have smartphones, That's when now we come in with a issue of adding them into our WhatsApp group.
Right now we are targeting everyone, people with disability and those who do not have any disabilities. So we are targeting churches and public places because when we give an example, a church has got more than 500 members, and we make sure that we interpret the weather information to them and the importance of the weather information and how they can access and find the information. So currently right now we are using Zambia Meteorological Department and slash Wiser User Group, where the ZMD produce and give us the nowcast and daily forecast.
We try to engage someone who is able to read and understand so that he or she can able to interpret it to the family whenever they receive the information. For example, the person with disabilities, that person can't talk, can't speak. So we engage maybe the mother or the father or the brother or the sisters so they can interpret for him when they receive that information.
For those people living with disabilities, it's not everyone who went to school. And for the ZMD, when forecasting the weather forecast, it should be available in all the local languages we have in Zambia.
I would also suggest the use of pictures that show a drawing of a thermometer and something like that. So that idea of bringing out information in the forecast to make it easier for us to share with other people so that they may know if the clouds look dark, they can understand there'll be heavy rains or maybe there'll be thunderstorms.
My mentality changed after I got involved in this Wiser project. At the beginning, I did not understand anything about weather and I never had any interest. But from the time I joined and I got involved in weather forecast, teaching me how to explain, knowing about weather, I think I got more interested. I think my mindset changed. That's what changed the most about me.
It has really helped me a lot and it has given me some knowledge. I have learned more and I'm able to give that information which I learned to vulnerable people who cannot afford to have that information. It has even changed the living of some people. They're able to prepare themselves before the rain starts. They're able to protect themselves. Then they're able to stay away from trees when it's raining. They don't have to sit under the trees, and they're able to maintain their houses as in terms of if we expect heavy rains with wind. So I inform them that make sure you stay in houses where they're built properly, they're well maintained, not even having any crack before the rain starts.
Yes.
So I have really learned a lot and I have helped my community as well.
They also give input into the nowcasts developed by the Met Services to ensure that these are understandable and accessible.
So what we would like to do now in the groups is we will give you 5 different examples of forecast and nowcast presentations. Some from South Africa.
So Dr. Sanchi Sanzo South Africa.
1, 2, 3 from South Africa.
So aya tatu ni yaku South Africa.
1 is from Mozambique.
Ina ni ya neighbor wa Mozambique.
And 1 is from Kanyama.
Na hii ni ya Kanyama.
And what we would like you to do in your groups is have a look at all of those different examples. And we've got some guiding questions here to prompt discussion around the table. And we hope that by giving you a couple of examples, there might be something you like with one and something you like with the other, and your ideal would be to have both of those aspects put together.
So monga vanetiza pasirani visanzo hivi muzapezeka kwina makondako kwina sunakondeko koma zapanga chintu chimozi tendizapereka kusogolo.
So this information is really useful for us to feed back to the forecasters.
So aya vanetiza kamba lero ni vabuno maningi kuti tipereke kuli vaja vanoyanganira za mpepo.
What's the weather like on the countrywide scale, so across all of Zambia?
In addition, the community observers supply the forecasters with feedback about the accuracy of their nowcasts. If it is said heavy rain is expected, was that accurate? Or if heavy rain fell, did the nowcast mention it? This feedback helps the forecasters to fine-tune the selection of their observation products.
Your information is so crucial to the projects and your feedback is absolutely valuable, but we're going to try and reduce this orange bit to 0 so that we don't have any data missing. So I encourage you to every day, even if there's no impacts, send us a message saying, no impact.
For the rest of the country, it's important to spread this program because we have a long coast. Geographically, Mozambique is along the Indian Ocean, so we have a long coast and we are most affected by cyclones. We could spread the weather program to other areas to prevent loss of lives in those areas.
This WISER project has brought us closer to the community, specifically the Kanyama people, because we are able to collaborate with them. We are able to get feedback and work to improve our forecast, because every time we issue the forecast, we are getting feedback from the communities there. And I think they are well trained now. They are well trained because they are able to understand. So it's very exciting for ZMD, and we are really enhancing our weather forecast.